This DFS Picks Week 5 edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is presented by WynnBET. WynnBET is now live in Colorado, Indiana, Michigan, New Jersey, Tennessee, Virginia, and Arizona. From boosted parlays to in-game odds on every major sport, WynnBET has what you need to win. Sign up today to receive a $1,000 risk-free sports bet. Download the WynnBET app now or visit wynnbet.com and start winning today. We're also brought to you by PropSwap, America's #1 app to buy and sell sports bets. Use promo code SGP on your first deposit and receive up to $500 in bonus cash. That's PropSwap.com, promo code SGP. We're also brought to you by Prediction Strike. Prediction Strike is the only performance-based sports stock market where you can buy and sell shares of professional athletes. Use promo code SGP to receive a free athlete share with your first deposit of $20 or more. And of course, don't forget to download the SGPN app, your home for all of our free picks and podcasts.
Cox.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Ooh, welcome everybody to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog.
Oh, I'm feeling good. That went smooth. Live fucking television, baby.
Yeah,
let's do it.
we got it.
DFS. I'm sorry. Let me tout for a second. I'll go wide so you can react. Second taking down of the big boy in 3 weeks. I was sweating the Millie Maker, had a lineup, had a chance. I was fully stacked on the early slate. Boy, was it fun. I think I peaked at like 69th place.
Nice.
I think I peaked in the top 40, but I was 69th place in the Millie Maker for a little bit, Sean. So patting myself on the back because I gave the lineup out on air and only one person out of 250,000 copied me.
Must have been a listener, Ryan, because you're on a heater. Also gave out Donald Parham 35-1 first touchdown. That was awesome. So yeah, congrats to you and helping keep the content train alive, keeping us afloat here with some sweet cash and joining us to talk DFS fantasy football, the fantasy football editor for the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, Adam Pelletier, the Don of Bills Mafia. Adam, I know you're also a big XFL guy. Got to be happy about your boy Donald Parham showing up in prime time.
I mean, I could have put him in my lineup from last week, and I should have just flexed Dawson Knox, and that would have been the killer lineup right there.
Oh yeah,
maybe throw my boy Keelan Cole in there. I finally didn't put Keelan Cole in a DFS lineup, and it bit me for the first time.
Yeah, I had Dawson Knox as my quarterback. I'm glad I consulted again with the Don of Bills Mafia. He really seems to be a big part of this Bills offense. I had Dawson Knox. I had Tyreek Hill. You know, Tannehill kind of laid an egg at least. I mean,
not a good look for Team Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, compared to some of the ceiling projections, but some of the other stuff I felt pretty good about, and still ended up. I think it cashed like $30, but. Decent performance there. All right, we're talking NFL, the National Football League, which means, I'll tell you what that means. It means you got to head over to WynnBET. That's right. You want to win big, you got to do it over at WynnBET.com. WynnBET.com. Download the WynnBET betting app. Get up to $1,000 in a risk-free bet. In-game wagering. First touchdowns, player props, they got it all over at WynnBET. Make sure you check them out. WynnBET.com when you want to win big. WynnBET.com. Oh yeah. Man, yes, jacked up, and I mean, let's get into it. We got a sweet DFS lineup to give out. Before we do that, it's time for this week's installment of Real Men of Degens, brought to you by PropSwap.com. Use promo code SGP. Get up to a $500 bonus there, which you can use to buy and sell real sports bets. Let's go.
SGPN presents Real Men of Degens. Real Men of Degens. We salute you.
Urban Meyer. That's right. Yeah, a lot of guys would have just taken the team flight after a 27-24 loss to the Bengals, but no, Urban, man of the people, decided to head out on the night. Go out into the town, have a couple cocktails. Some fans wanted to dance. What is this? Footloose? Of course the man's gonna dance. Then a video came out. The caption on it was quote, "Someone got a video of Urban Meyer sticking his finger up my ass." Well, Urban, congrats. You're this week's installment of Real Men of Degens, and truly,
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Is he a real degen because this is like the most obvious attempt to get fired intentionally ever?
I mean, Ryan, there's so many conspiracy theories out there. It's hard not to think he's that. I mean, it's such a dumbass move that like you have to think this guy, he has to have some intelligence. I mean, he was like posing with photos,
real talk
to these people with these people.
He's either coming off like a bitch in the locker room. Either way, he can't play it the right way. Like it doesn't matter. It's like, bro, why didn't you close the deal?
And yeah, I mean, I can't speak for all the members of the Jacksonville Jaguars locker room, but I'm guessing some of them have stepped out on their wife or girlfriend. I'm not
Tim Tebow.
Well, yeah, and that's what happens. You get rid of Tim Tebow, all of a sudden Urban Meyer straying off the straight and narrow.
The text simply read, "I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed." Tim Tebow to Urban Meyer.
Apparently, he addressed
maybe Urban Meyer just didn't want to admit the actual reason he brought in Tebow was to be his spiritual advisor. He needed Tim Tebow around, much like Josh Hamilton of the Rangers needed that guy around to just keep him out of trouble. Maybe Urban Meyer just needs Tim Tebow. I mean, it all went to hell for him once Tebow left everywhere. So maybe that's it.
Yeah, I mean, you could do a Tim Tebow leaving. It's almost as bad as like the keyboard player for the Grateful Dead. There is a curse once Tim Tebow leaves your franchise. And I mean, Urban Meyer, apparently he's a
shepherd, you know.
He addressed the locker room and gave him the same excuse that he gave publicly, that like, oh, he was just there and she started dancing with him.
No, he didn't go into the locker room. He didn't have the balls to face the entire team at once. He went into positional meetings after canceling practice and the whole team meeting. Urban Meyer has zero respect from anyone.
Yeah.
Like, just honest to God.
And that's interesting. How does that factor into our handicap? I think God is back to hating the Jags.
Oh yeah. God is not a Jags fan.
Take all the Jags out your lineup. So.
Yeah. Well, and again, are they going to play? Are they going to play for Urban Meyer? Like, we're going to win one for the Gipper and restore his pride. I don't see that happening.
My other two favorite things based off of this is how everyone is saying that the girls are looking a lot like Trevor Lawrence.
There's some single white female thing going on with Urban Meyer.
Two, it caused the resurfacing of the video where Urban Meyer is giving the interview on the boat with the naked man in the mirror reflection. And that was just delightful.
He looked so hammered in that video. I retweeted it at Gambling Podcast. I completely forgot about it, but he's like on a boat giving a Skype interview, trying to sound real official. And I mean, you look at his eyes, he looks a bit intoxicated. And then you just see this guy. The guy at very best was just in a tight Speedo, but he walks in and he looks naked because it's in the reflection of the mirror, and he's just like walking around the boat. It's an all timer. So
I mean, he just looked
thoughts and prayers for
He just
Urban.
looked like a man who was faded from the sun, booze, and maybe some sex, maybe some midday sex.
I get it. I mean, you've been out on a boat, you get tired, you get sleepy. you take some of that. That anti-nausea, that'll knock you out.
I mean, when you're Urban Meyer, you're basically Mick Jagger. So, you got to do something to mix it up.
All right, let's talk DFS lineups here. There's a couple of fun stacks, and I know the Tannehill one didn't pay off last week, but man, at Jacksonville, that's an intriguing lineup. If you want to, I went. I'll save mine in a second here, but I mean, Kyler Murray is an interesting one. Even Aaron Rodgers at Cincinnati. I mean, we saw Jacksonville really kind of had their way in the air. We'll see if Green Bay gets up for that game. But Adam, kick things off. Who do you got in your stack?
This is when Sean just reaches across and cuts the feed from Kramer talking because I'm taking Sam Darnold against the Philadelphia Eagles this weekend.
Oh my God.
Smart man.
I mean, Darnold's due for a bounce back right here. The Eagles haven't looked great against teams through the air, and Darnold's going to keep getting his plus. Sam Vick, as they're calling him down here in Charlotte, just getting the rushing touchdowns up and down the board. I mean, you got to account for his legs. Somebody's going to be open.
Yeah, I like the Sam Arnold.
Do you
like the combination of Sam, Donald, and Lamar
so
all together?
I have a team, a best ball team that it's doing quite well. Sam Darnold, Derek Carr, and Jared Goff. That you made fun of me heavily when we drafted it, Sean. It's doing quite nicely because Sam Darnold is just. I mean, he put up a ton of points for me last week in that lineup. And it's all about the rushing floor. You know, the nerds just didn't see it. They didn't see Sam Darnold.
No, I didn't see him leading the league in rushing touchdowns. That was completely off my radar. And to Adam's point, I can't even put up a fight. This Eagles defense.
Trash.
I mean, the fucking Jonathan Gannon, who was supposedly this sought after defensive coordinator. I have no idea why he's had 2 back-to-back 40-point games. They asked him, well, why he wasn't in dime at all. And he said they don't have a dime package. How do you? I mean, if you coach, get Patty C over here. If you coach a high school football team, you have a dime package. I
Simple
get it.
systems.
You don't have 6 defensive backs you trust, and maybe you don't want to run dime. Fine, but don't admit not to having dime. Now, if I'm Matt Rule, all I'm saying is we're running 4 receivers, 5 receivers. We're gonna force them to maybe come up with a dime defense. It's fucking insane. I think the only thing that's hard from that angle is playing Darnold is picking the right pass catchers. But again, I mean, the defense hasn't shown me anything. So I totally get the pick. Kramer, who's your quarterback?
Well, shall I do it? Because you know what? It's been nice stacking against the Cowboys. Give me Danny Dimes. He's showing you what he can do. Certainly not the problem, Sean. And really, if you look at all of his games, he's putting up points. And you look at the road games specifically, he's averaging over 30. This is a guy who, again, it's going to take them probably needing to chase some points, which not a surprising kind of game script. And I think what he showed you in the last game is that if Jason Garrett would take his fucking testicles out of his man purse and just throw the ball around, they got guys to catch it. Kenny Galladay is a grown man. I need like a sign back here that says grown men playing football. Danny Dimes running people over on the goal line. Kenny Galladay running people over down the field. Kadarius Toney looking shifty. Barkley's back. Give me Daniel Jones. Only 6,000. Is this going to be a popular play, Sean? I worried it might be, but I had to go out of my guy this week.
Yeah, I don't. It's interesting because I think people are high on Dallas. I think certainly Dak going the other way will be a popular play. Although he's at 6,900, and Giants defense has been pretty porous. I'm going. You want to talk about bounce back games? This one has bounce back written all over it. Kirk Cousins at home against the Detroit Lions.
Not a bad play.
Normally not a huge Cousins guy, but coming off a game where they only put up 7 points, now they're back at home against this Lions team, which again, the Lions team, they're not quitters, but I think losing to the Bears, and I mean, they made Justin Fields look pretty decent. Ryan, he was taking some deep shots on that passing defense.
Dalvin Cook will be very popular this week too. So
okay, yeah, because I'm not playing Dalvin Cook. I'm obviously going with the QB receiver stack and thinking they're going to get it done in the air. Cook is still coming back. I mean, maybe he will be 100% this week, and maybe that's what they do to simplify things. But I still think there's great opportunities to pass on this Lions defense. So give me Kirk Cousins, $6,500 at home.
You like that? You like that?
I do, Kirk. I do like that. What about running backs? Who's your first running back, Adam?
I kicked it off with DeAndre Swift, 6,100. This ended up being a very mid-tier heavy lineup for me. It was a lot of guys in that 6,000 range, no real top tier, no real scooping up the basement. But, twice this year, the Vikings have given up 150 yards on the ground, and DeAndre Swift getting about 20 touches a game. You got to love that, especially when about half of them are through the air. In a PPR format, that's going to be really nice. And he's due for a touchdown here.
Yeah, actually, I'll jump in because I also have DeAndre Swift. Well, it be for the same reason. And honestly, if I was doing a Cousins stack, I might look to bring it back with Swift because he's going to be a monster in the passing game. I think if anything, like we could see some even carry regression as we saw a lot of carries to Jamal Williams last week in a game where they just needed that junkyard dog out there. So I think this kind of swings back towards Swift. And honestly, the price being only 6,100, it seems low for a guy who has an absolute like 15-point floor just based on the passing game work in a game where they should be very negative.
Yeah, no, I mean, looking at the splits between Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift, it does kind of seem a little all over the place as far as what their roles are. But
Swift is clearly the guy in the more passing game.
And I didn't see that coming. I thought Jamal Williams would be getting more passing work. He got it earlier in the season, but now he isn't getting it. And certainly them playing from behind, that's an interesting bring back. I didn't have it. My first running back, I went Najee Harris. Now,
okay, nice.
I think this might actually be, and I'd like to get your guys' take on it, but I think this might actually be a contrarian play in the sense that the Steelers are at home against Denver's defense, and you look at like you were saying, Ryan, in the office, first opponent ranked Denver defense. However, it looks like Big Ben probably not going to play. We'll see if he does play. I'll be pretty surprised. He's got a hip injury.
What a mess.
He's popped up on the injury chart. They're going to give the ball to Mason Rudolph, most likely to start. And how do you help out Mason Rudolph? Get Najee Harris involved in the passing game. I think he's going to get a ton of carries and a ton of, against the Bengals, he had 14 catches. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a scenario where he gets like 12 catches, and I want a piece of that in a GPP format. So give me Najee Harris, 6,900. What do you think, Adam? Is that going to be highly owned or?
I don't know about highly owned, but I kind of like the play for being as out on Najee Harris as I was in the preseason.
Yeah,
because they really haven't played an offense that's going to be as complete as the Steelers offense is yet. The closest they came was last week against Baltimore. Without Big Ben, this offense actually might get better because Big Ben can throw the ball about 5 yards, as was evidenced by Najee's 19 targets last week or 2 weeks ago. In week one, Damian Harris ran over them for a touchdown. James White had a touchdown on the ground and he was active through the air. Najee Harris, plenty of opportunities to get work, good play, nice value. The Broncos defense is good, but they're not so good that you're scared off of a guy like Najee.
Yeah. And especially too, I just think the volume is going to overcompensate for, like factor in considering, they're good, but I mean, he's going to get just so many touches. How about you? Who's your second running back?
I'm bringing it back. We're actually going to go with a triple stack here in Carolina. So I'm going with Chuba Hubbard this week.
Ooh. Sorry, Adam. I gotta correct you. It's Chuba Hubbard. The audience,
it is Chuba.
The audience only yells at me. I've heard. I listened to Evan Silva on Establish the Run. He called him Chuba. Is his DMs blown up? Does he have to issue a formal apology?
You should give him some professional courtesy.
Chuba.
Okay.
So you go back to Chuba.
Going with Chuba. This is all, of course, contingent upon Christian McCaffrey not playing. If Christian McCaffrey plays, Chuba's coming out. James Robinson is also there at 6,000, and I'll just be slotting him in. As much as the Jags aren't going to play for Urban Meyer, James Robinson is going to play in FU mode all season with Urban Meyer. He's going to say, "I'm this grinder. I was great last year. I'm great this year." And you went out and spent a first round pick on some dude who couldn't even stay healthy in the preseason.
Yeah, the James Robinson revenge tour against Urban Meyer, I think, is a strong angle, and as long as he's the coach, I do like the James Robinson play there, and Chuba as well. I was kind of disappointed in his performance last week overall. I don't know. What did you think Why don't you think Chuba got more last week, Adam?
I just think it was game script. I think they got behind early. They had to go to the air, and the Cowboys have some good linebackers who are taking away guys at the line of scrimmage. The Eagles do not have that strength as they just got run over by the Chiefs for 200. The week before, the Cowboys went for 160. The 49ers went for 117, and I don't think they had a running back in that game. And they gave up 124 to the Atlanta Falcons on the ground. Chuba's going to get his yards here, and he's probably going to fall into the end zone at least once.
Yep. I like the angle. Unfortunately, Ryan, what do you got? Who's your second running back?
I mean, it would have been my first, but I piled on the Swift angle. I'm going to stack Barkley with Jones. I think it's back to Barkley first round. We've liked the angle of the running back against Dallas in previous weeks. Didn't really pay off last week with Chuba.
A little disappointing.
Game got kind of out of control, but Barkley's back to just being a target in the passing game. He's back to getting the workload on the ground, and I think this game should have some points. I don't buy that this is going to be a slow game.
Yeah, I mean, division games can get a little wonky, but even I feel like the Giants Cowboys is always a little more high scoring than your typical NFC East matchups. And now maybe we're a week late on this guy, but I would argue maybe even a week early, because it does seem, I don't know, whatever's going on in the Sirianni offense, but Kenny Gainwell is a real part of this passing game, coming off an 8 target, 6 catch game, 3 carries for 31 yards and a touchdown. I know it's almost illegal to run the ball with a guy averaging 10 yards a carry, but maybe they let him carry a little bit more. I mean, he's 19 carries for 84 yards. I mean, that's not a guy you want to give the ball more. Regardless, he's getting more passing looks, especially late. He seems like the outlet guy that Hurts likes to go to on third down, or kind of. I mean, he almost reminds me of like Greg Ward in previous seasons, where he's kind of the go-to guy on like third and short, or the guy you really need a catch for. Nice explosiveness after the catch. So give me Kenny Gainwell, $4,900. I still think he's underpriced for this matchup against Carolina. What about you? First receiver, Adam.
Rounding out the Carolina stack with DJ Moore. DJ Moore has been an absolute monster this year. Target machine, racking it up. And the Eagles actually haven't before last week, they hadn't really had to play a good receiver. And when Tyreek Hill stepped on, because the Cowboys guys were all banged up and out in that game, and Dalton Schultz carved up the Eagles.
Yeah.
And Deebo Samuel carved up the Eagles. DJ Moore is going to just leave the Eagles secondary broken, bloodied, and battered.
Okay. Yeah.
Where they're going to need to call Sean to play for them at the end of this.
And I'm ready. 2 years, 2 years, junior varsity, best shape of my life. This is where I got to interrupt, because I'm so fucking pissed at Jonathan Gannon. You have Darius Slay, one of the more high priced guys on the defense. How does he not just man up Tyreek Hill? And whatever, Tyreek Hill's gonna get the best of him at some point, but he's probably not gonna get 3 touchdowns for 180 yards. You putting a linebacker on Tyreek Hill? I mean, come on. I know guys like me are able to jam him off the line, but clearly we don't have that kind of talent here in Philadelphia. And why would you not? You have, Darius Slay, maybe top 15 cornerback. Like, you look at his numbers, they don't really throw at him that much. They just figure out how to exploit matchups where either Steven Nelson or one of these linebackers are on him. It's all scheme, because we were not this bad last year defensively.
At some point.
Kramer, if you recut this, you can save Sean some time, and he won't have to record a Die Hard Eagles podcast this week.
This does feel like
all
most
his
of the
points
podcast
he's going to make.
It really is. It just driving me insane. Ryan, who's your first receiver?
My first receiver. Let's just finish the stack. Kenny Galladay, 5,900. I mean, he's clearly back. He clearly is going to have his way with this Dallas secondary. And again, high scoring game loading. Danny Dimes, can he shock the world again on the road, Sean? So stacking it up. I got Barkley, Jones, and Kenny Galladay. That's a lot of Jason Garrett offense on my team, but we were close last week. I'm taking down the big boy again this week.
Let's go. All right, for me, the receiver, obviously got to play me some Justin Jefferson. Coming off a pretty good game, But 6 catches, 84 yards, 1 touchdown, 20 points fantasy. I feel like he could really go off, especially against this Detroit secondary. Love the I just love this Cousins Jefferson stack this week. It's kind of the perfect scenario. They're coming off a loss. They're both coming off I mean, his point total was still 20 and you're maybe chasing touchdowns back to back week, but I think Jefferson's still going to be involved heavily in the game plan. So before we get to Adam's second receiver, talking about stacking some cash. You know what's as sweet as cash? Having a full head of hair. Keeps can help you make that happen. Low cost treatment starting at just $10 per month. They offer Keeps has generic versions, discreet packaging, proven results. Doesn't show up and say bald pills inside there. No, very subtle over at Keeps. Virtual doctor consultation. Take a look at your scalp, see what you need. And again, best part is you don't have to leave home. Again, Keeps helps you keep the hair you have, and treatment can take a little bit, 4 to 6 months. So make sure you get ahead of the game before baldness breaks you down. If you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/SGP to receive your first month of treatment for free. That's keeps.com/SGP to get your first month free. Keeps.com/SGP. And while we're saving you cash, saving your hair. Also want to save you some cash with Mint Mobile. That's right. Take a look at your monthly budget right now and take a look at how much you're throwing out the window for your cell phone. $100, $200. Mint Mobile gives you premium wireless for just $15 a month. Use your own phone and again, keep your same number. Mint Mobile. They'll mail whatever you need. Get you covered. 7-day money back guarantee. That's right. Switch to Mint Mobile's premium wireless service starting at just $15. Mintmobile.com/sportsSGP. Mintmobile.com/sportsSGP. Adam, what do you got? Second receiver. Are you bringing it back with an eagle? What are we doing here?
I'm not bringing it back with an eagle. I'm bringing it back with some Chris Godwin.
Ooh, okay.
I think he's in for a big week. He's been kind of quiet. He's been quieter the last 2 weeks. Nothing too exciting. You know, he did have 6 for 74 against the Rams. Now he's facing a porous Miami secondary, a team that's completely demoralized without a quarterback, and they are just ready to quit and roll over and just get destroyed by Tampa Bay. You know, Brady's going to be feeling it. He's going to be pissed off after he only put up 17 on Sunday night against the former team. He's going to be that out angle for blood this week.
Yeah, it was. It's interesting too, because and I don't know, Miami's defense, they're kind of all over the place. And you're right. You can feel a defense when they realize they don't have anything going on the offensive side of the ball, where they're just like, oh man, we really got to go out there and win this game again. It could get a little tough there. Kramer, what do you got?
I'm going to another game where I'm just going to I'm not going to fight it. This San Francisco Arizona game is going to have some scoring.
Ooh.
And I'm done fighting this Deebo Samuel thing. Maybe I'm chasing points a little bit, but he's still only 7,100 and he's getting an insane target share. Yes, I understand Trey Lance, whatever. I still think the gimmicks are good enough to make Deebo Samuel pay off here in a game where they're going to be chasing points. They're not going to be able to slow down the game. I don't know. I mean, again, maybe it'll be contrarian because Trey Lance looks like hot garbage and doesn't look like he can throw the ball. But I'm going to take Deebo Samuel. I think Arizona's going to keep the pace going, and 7,100. Let's go.
And maybe a little tough to figure out his target share there with Trey Lance, but yeah, I like the Deebo angle. We still haven't gotten any sort of explanation or insight into the Brandon Ayuk thing. It seemed like he was obviously in the doghouse. Then he came out of the doghouse, was getting a bunch of snaps and routes, but wasn't really getting many targets still. I don't know what's going on in San Francisco there. What I do know is George Kittle does not have a receiving touchdown. I'm monitoring that situation carefully. Adam, you look at all the rankings, you edit all the fantasy stuff, the fantasy community. And I don't want you to be an advocate. I don't want to put it all on you, the fantasy community. But why are they in such denial that George Kittle, yes, a good football player, but he's just never gonna have that fantasy.
You don't get
explosion.
fantasy points for blocking.
Yeah. What
Have you ever tried to convince a millennial they're wrong on something?
that is
Like, honest to
completely
God,
true.
that's just the simplest answer. It's like, oh, we like how he looks. He looks like one of us. He's got the long hair. He feels like he's gonna rock a flannel.
Also
I'd
drinks
have a kombucha
cold
with
brew.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have a cold brew nitro kombucha with him. Yeah.
I could see him on his fixed gear bike. Man, he's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it. He's never been a guy who's put up big touchdown numbers. He's never been a guy who did anything. He's thought of highly because he is a good blocking tight end. He is a good tight end.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, he's never done anything amazing from a fantasy standpoint. He's a guy that we hype every year. And quite frankly, didn't deserve to be thought of in the elite level of tight ends this year. He doesn't belong with Kelsey. He doesn't belong with Waller. You know, he doesn't even belong in that next tier, really. It looks like with Pitts, Hawkinson, and Fant. Those guys have established themselves as the next tier. And, you know, he's right there in that tier with Dawson Knox. And Dawson Knox is about to leave him in the dust.
Yeah, no,
Old Stone Hands himself.
The Dawson Knox resurgence. You just follow the targets. The targets aren't there. I mean,
that's not a resurgence with Dawson Knox. That's an ascendancy. He
Yeah,
was never there.
right.
He was never there.
resurgence
God, it was just
implies that he
painful.
had something going on.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Just real quick, point out the obvious here, but I don't know there were too many other media outlets telling you that George Kittle was the number 3 NFL tight end from the College of Iowa.
Thank
you, TJ. Currently, TJ Hawkinson 5th, Noah Fant 7th, George Kittle 10th in fantasy points. PPR. Let's go.
Yeah, we were on this since the preseason. This is
Yeah.
why y'all need to be here if you just found us.
My second receiver, I'm doing the optimal nerd stack for the Millie Maker. I'm doing 2 receivers for Minnesota, and I'm going to bring it back with a Detroit receiver. I'm going to Adam Thielen as my second stack. You could make a case for maybe getting cute and going Bourne, but he still loves Adam Thielen in the red zone. He's coming off a pretty inefficient day by Adam Thielen standards. Only 3 catches on 8 targets for 7.6 fantasy. I love him at home against Detroit. So I got Jefferson. I got Thielen for 6,600. I mean, I think Thielen's fun to play even in a non-Kirk stack. So yeah, give me Adam Thielen 6,600. Now wait, Adam, did you give out your second receiver? You're on to your third, right?
Yeah, I went. My first 2 are DJ Moore, Chris Godwin.
Yep.
Went a little more budget here, going back to Quintez Cephas in that Detroit Minnesota game.
Let's go.
Yeah, he's just been, his snap share has been up. He's been on the field 80% of the time last week. He's a guy that Jared Goff is looking to down the field. Jared Goff can't chuck it deep, but he can throw it 20 yards down the field. And Quintez Cephas is a big guy, big catch radius. He's going up. He's making plays. He's turned into a red zone machine for them when they're not looking at Hawkinson down there. And the Vikings defense has actually had some bad weeks against receivers. They gave up 100 to Jamar Chase in week 1. They gave up 100 to Rondale Moore in week 2. They gave up 100 in week 3 to DK Metcalf. Quintez Cephas is better than Rondale Moore right now, I would say. And he's probably about on level, maybe a little below Jamar Chase right now. He's no DK Metcalf, but he's that same big physical bodied guy who's going to go up and get a ball.
Yep. I mean, I also have a Quintez Cephas. He was my bring back there for the Lions.
Ooh.
Adam nailed a number of great points that I didn't bother writing down because you know me, gut handicapper. But he is one of those guys, and you know we were on the Bears -2.5, so I was kind of keeping my eye out on that game. But he's one of those guys that you're always like, when you have God's eye and you have 8 TVs, you'll see like a play breaking off, and I feel like he's kind of on my radar just visually as a guy who looks like a guy who can play in the league.
I feel like all the receivers on Detroit look the part, actually.
Yeah.
Like we could be having a Jared Goff limited situation here.
And, you know, Anthony Lynn is a good offensive coordinator. Like, shit on him all you want for being a bad head coach. That Chargers offense was always good through the air. He always made guys into something. And now he's making Jared Goff in this offense look good. And also remember with Quintez Cephas, this is him now back. You know, last year he was rusty because he didn't have a full off season to prep for his last college season and pandemic shortened off season. Now he actually has a full year back because he spent a year and a half out of football. So he didn't touch a football field for a year and a half coming into his last year of college. And now he's starting to get back to where he was and where he could get to.
Love it.
Speaking of guys who hadn't played in a while, Rondell Moore, he's going to be my wide receiver 3. He's going to be, a little game stack here with the Arizona San Francisco game. 4,600. We've seen his usage. It kind of spiked there, kind of trickled back down. What better way to get creative against the defense that you probably fear a little bit than get to Rondell Moore back in the action? Yeah, I mean, he's a fun bullet on this Arizona team just because we saw what he looked like. Just absolutely dynamic, almost as dynamic as Kadarius Toney. Almost.
I love the Kadarius Toney.
I'm getting
it's a solid first round pick. Anyway, spin it. My tight end, Mike Gesicki, $4,200. The Mike Gesicki love affair is back, and I think for a good reason. One, I mean, just eye test watching that game. Tampa Bay has had a bunch of issues on the back end. You saw a number of their defensive backs, safeties go down. Kind of seemed like a bloodbath. Mac Jones not quite up there as far as being able to take advantage of it. And part of the Gesicki resurgence, clearly, I don't know if they did some with their offense or if it's just a Jacoby Brissett being in there. But the last 2 games, 15 catches and 143 yards and a touchdown. So he's really come alive. I like the matchup against Tampa Bay. I think they're going to have trouble running the ball, and I think a guy like Gesicki is someone who's going to be able to have Brissett. Is he really going to be able to push the ball downfield? Like maybe Devontae Parker is the angle, but I like Gesicki over the middle, taking advantage of their lack of safety depth, and I mean we'll see who they end up trotting out there. But I mean, Richard Sherman was starting for them. They're and I don't want to share Brissett, but this seems like the next best thing. Mike Gesicki, $4,200. What about your flex, Adam?
Oh, we're just skipping over my tight end, eh?
Oh, sorry. I
Sean
jumped
doesn't
ahead.
want to give either of us a tight end.
Oh wait, did I?
You co-signed.
Okay.
You co-signed on Quintez Cephas.
All right, that's where my
and then
flow
you
was
skipped
off.
right to tight end.
Who's your tight end?
I went with Anthony Ferguson because I want a piece of someone who's playing this god awful Jacksonville defense.
Yep.
And who the hell else is Ryan Tannehill going to throw to right now? Last week, Anthony Ferguson just coming back off a knee injury, 5 targets. And let's not forget that CJ Uzomah went for 2 tutties and almost 100 yards against the Jags on Thursday night. Anthony Ferguson is just as good, if not better, than CJ Uzomah. He can do the same thing. The price is right there at 3,100 as well. Gave me some money to do something nice with the flex coming back around. And I like the Gesicki play. The Devontae Parker play also would have been nice because at the end of the day, he did have 9 targets last week. Jacoby Brissett is locking on to Devontae Parker, and Devontae Parker isn't going to be sub 50% on his catch rate again. He's not a guy who's bad with his hands. He's going to make those plays. He's not going to. That was a low point for him if Brissett's going to lock onto him that much.
Sean,
yes,
I'm doing it again. I'm paying up for it. I considered including Evan Ingram in my stack because I do think he will have a lot of. Look,
he's gonna have targets.
Jason,
and you're playing a tournament.
I don't want to take all my nuggets from the NFL show that we will be recording live in the Wynn Studio, beautiful
in
Las Vegas
tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah. How about that technology? We can get there that fast. But
I don't know why. It's just so funny. You described the Southwest flight to Las Vegas is like, wow, technology, it's here.
The pinnacle of technology, really.
Pinnacle.
That Southwest flight.
I can't possibly in my right mind take that guy. Just can't take Evan Ingram. So I reshuffled things. Obviously, I have Barkley and Galladay, and I'm going to bring it back with Schultz because clearly it's not Cedric Wilson who is the third option in this offense. It's Schultz. And again, you're not at some point you're not chasing points because this guy's a top 5 tight end on the season. And what better way to fill your tight end slot, Sean? Correlate it to a game you think there's going to be a lot of points anyway. So the bring back worked last week with Dalton Show. So I'm going back to the well.
Disgusting act.
Well, I'm kind of fading the Cowboys at the same time, Sean. So yeah, he's 4,400 this week though.
I just don't like playing Cowboys is now like a lucky Kramer thing. You're rocking a San Diego Charger or Los Angeles baby. Chargers
held serve at home against the Raiders. That's a huge. I mean,
it was a big win for them.
Raider fans are acting like no big deal. We're still 3-1.
And Decker, we had a crazy lightning storm. It delayed the game, which again, that's kind of hilarious that they have a covered roof, but doesn't actually stop it from having a rain delay. And Decker was like tweeting out photos of the lightning. He's like, it's a sign.
So on that reminds me, it is ridiculous. Sometimes that might have been outside their control because I know there are laws about what you can and can't do outside. Because when I worked for the Y, we shut down the indoor pool that was in a basement one time because there was a thunderstorm overhead and it was health department code. So as ridiculous as it sounds it legit. Happens in everyday life.
All right. Ooh, man. Before we get to flex, defense, and our Thursday night prop bets, prediction strike. First off, awesome name. Love that name. Again, it is a sports-based stock market. That's right. It's almost like Robin Hood and Win. They had a baby. They named it Prediction Strike. Again, fans create portfolios of their favorite athletes so they can make money and get even closer to the game. You don't even bet on your players, invest in them. We always talk about in best ball, like, oh, I got shares of this, I got shares of that guy. My shares of Robbie Anderson not looking great. My shares of Kenny Gainwell that I got made fun of in the live drafts, they're skyrocketing in value. I wish I was down on Prediction Strike. Could be cashing in over there. Head to predictionstrike.com to create an account. Use promo code SGP and then deposit funds, buy, sell, and hold shares of your favorite players, just like the stocks. Again, you're a degenerate. You're probably in crypto. You're in stocks. It's one more fun thing where you can buy and sell. It's just another sports related thing you can check while you're at work. You know you want to get involved. Sign up with promo code SGP and receive a free athlete share with your first deposit of $20 or more. Adam, what do you got for your flex spot?
By spending down on Anthony Ferguson, that left me the money to go and get Leonard Fournette, who is coming off an 80% snap share. That means he'll probably be down a little bit, but the Dolphins have given up 120 plus yards on the ground in all 4 of their games. They've been carved up through the air as well. I want more pieces going at this Miami defense, and Leonard Fournette at 5,200 is a nice flex play who's going to give me value on the ground and through the air.
That's interesting. It's interesting the strategy. You're playing a running back and receiver from the same team and not the quarterback. Interesting. I mean, I like your plan of attacking the Miami defense. I think I don't know. They're such an interesting team because they create turnovers, but I don't think they will against Tom Brady, Tampa Bay. What do you got, Kramer? Who's your flex spot?
Antonio Gibson's healthy, right? What's the deal with this? Does anyone have any actual injury news? No.
Let me check the injury report that's about to get published as soon as we go off.
Yeah, and make sure you follow at SGPN Football Doc if you haven't already on Twitter. He's pumping out injury report posts and videos over at sportsgamblingpodcast.com. But follow him on Twitter for the latest update stuff. Yeah, I haven't been tracking that situation. I kind of think you said Gibson, but you meant Antonio Brown, right? Or
Antonio Gibson.
Oh, Antonio Gibson. Okay, I thought you were talking about Brown because we were talking Tampa Bay, but Antonio Brown. And that's why I like Adam's Godwin play. I think the Antonio Brown action was definitely like a New England FU kind of thing. And now that they're back home, I do think maybe Godwin gets some looks because Brady's got to put him in the doghouse a little bit for dropping that touchdown that he could have had there. That would have been nice.
Well, there is that. All right, so I'm going to fire on it because I think it's a fun way to round out this contrarian lineup with a little. I've been doing it lately. Again, maybe going back to the well because it seems like it's been working. But give me Antonio Gibson, 6,400. I don't think he'll be a popular play this week against the Saints. You got some injury news for?
He does not appear on the SGPN fantasy injury report as of right now. So we'll see though. We'll see if he gets added.
It sounded like, I saw something that said that basically it sounded like it wasn't a big deal. I think people will shy away from this. The Saints just gave up a pretty big day to Saquon Barkley. And quite frankly, like this game, I think it's going to be a lot of checking down, a lot of handing off. Obviously, McKissick's still involved.
Oh yeah,
but you know, I'm gonna go back to the Gibson. Well, a little bit of a contrarian play, but I like the chance of him to get a lot of work in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind J.D. McKissick, and I don't mind.
He's 5,000, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind either Washington running back, and I think you could make a good case for either of them.
I think Washington playing from a lead, Gibson's the guy getting the work.
Yeah, and I guess it depends how you kind of see that game rounded out. I mean, they gave McKissick 7 carries. He only got 15 yards, but of course had those 5 catches for 44 and had that insane touchdown. I mean, if you're Ron Rivera, you got to reward McKissick, I think, with some more touches. So it'll be interesting to see how their shares go. But you're right. I mean, Gibson is kind of a workhorse too. I think they both have pretty good value at their prices. We didn't talk about New England at all in this game, and they're going up against Houston, who again obviously has some issues on the defensive side of the ball. Led up 40 to the Bills. Now they're back home. I'm going Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers seems to be Mac Jones's guy. 12 targets, 8 catches. Didn't feel like an outlier performance for Jacoby Myers. Him and Hunter Henry kind of seemed to be Mac Jones's guys, and against that Houston defense, $5,600. I'm all over it. So yeah, give me Jacoby Myers. What about you defensively, Adam? What do you got?
Defensively, I did it again. I spent up for a defense. I know we said not to, but I did it with the Bills last week, and it paid off big. They got like 20 points. And this Dolphins offensive line is god awful. They've given up 13 sacks through 4 games. That's 3.5 sacks a game. They've turned the ball over 6 times, and they have yet to break. They've broken 300 yards once, and they did it against the Raiders, and it took OT. This offense is awful. They've been held under 20 points 3 times. They got shut out once. The Bucs defense flies to the ball, makes big plays. Jacoby Brissett's going to turn the ball over like 3 times, and there's going to be a defensive score.
He's looking
pay up for the Bucs D.
Yeah, that's a solid angle for sure. I mean, even as a guy who has Mike Gesicki in there, I wouldn't be surprised if they're kind of getting their ass kicked and Gesicki gets a bunch of check down stuff in garbage time. And yeah, that defensive line is due for a bunch of sacks. What do you got defensively, Kramer?
Well, I mean, I actually screwed up. I didn't have enough money to put in the Redskins defense, aka the football team, and it came down to Eagles or Jags. And I like, honestly, the way this Titans offense is playing, I threw out the Jags. Higher variance game. I like the Eagles angle. I wish they were at home. I do think they've now been embarrassed 2 games in a row. So what makes me wonder if they're ever going to bounce back.
Can they let up 3 games of 40 plus? Tune in Sunday.
At this point, I'd rather fade Ryan Tannehill than Sam Darnold.
Yeah. And certainly we'll see what the injury report looks like from the SGPN Fantasy Football doc. But I mean, no AJ Brown, no Julio last week. We'll be interested to see, what they're looking like as far as practice. So stay tuned for that later on in the week. Ryan, we've been talking a bunch, I think, on air and just in general about the strategy of correlating the running back and the defense together.
Yeah.
Drew Lock on the road, and you're giving me the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes, please.
It's a fun correlation there.
Yeah, I'm tying Najee Harris and the Steelers defense. I think it's going to be an ugly game, and I think Drew Lock certainly has the opportunity to turn the ball over. We got TJ Watt. I think is finally getting healthy. Yep. I think the Steelers defense at home, I mean, it feels kind of like their season's on the line. If they let another game slip, I don't see how they're making the playoffs. Again, I'm still a believer in Tomlin and the infrastructure, and maybe Mason Rudolph, as weird as it sounds, gives their offense a little bump and keeps them in this game. I think the defense is going to be hyped, and I think that Pittsburgh defense against Drew Lock at home, I was surprised they were only 3,300 because you could make a case they're the top defense.
Yeah.
I mean,
I like that stat. I definitely have. That's pretty high up on the nice to stack. I mean, Cook in the Viking defense too, but that's probably not the best way to play it.
Yeah. And before we get to our Thursday night prize picks lineup, of course, go to prizepicks.com, promo code SGP, giving you out some Over under entries here, a 3-player entry. If you go 3 for 3, $20 turns into 100. That's a nice little
a huddy.
Plus 500, plus 5 huddies, as they say in the business. Of course, not listed on the main slate, but Adam, as a Bills fan, what are you thinking? Like showdown lineup, what would you be looking to attack without listing out the whole thing? What's your kind of angle for that Bills Chiefs game?
If I'm looking to play a Chief, I'm playing Travis Kelce. Matt Milano's banged up. It means it means the Bills are going to be without their cover. Could be without their cover linebacker.
That's huge.
Or he's going to be slowed. That's going to be big, and that's what's given the Bills fits in the past. And unlike the Eagles, the Bills will cover Tyreek Hill and double team him if necessary.
It's a good idea.
Ron Johnson should be back, and he's fast enough to stick with him. And the big thing is both of these teams are in the top 5 in points scored on the season. This has all the markings of a shootout. But if you're looking to play the Chiefs, I might stay away from Patrick Mahomes, because this Bills defense is not the same defense he carved up last year in the AFC Championship game and during the regular season. The defensive line has been revamped, and they're going to get after Patrick Mahomes, much like the Bucs did in the Super Bowl. And they're going to be able to do it without blitzing as well, which means he's going to be under duress. He's going to be running for his life a lot, and he's going to have to find his guys downfield.
So it sounds like you like the Chiefs in a big way, right?
I'm never going to pick against the Bills. Like we could be rolling out Mitch Trubisky or Davis Webb, and I'm still going to say, I think the Bills can do this. Believe.
The Matt Milano Kelce angle, I think, is worth noting, especially for the showdown slate. All right, let's get to the prize picks. Kramer, what do you got for the people this week? And of course, stay tuned on Twitter at Gambling Podcast, where Kramer will reveal his I don't know what you would call it, your first touchdown prognostications.
Yeah, I mean, free money, I think, is another way to put it. All right,
yep.
Let's get started. I let the rash calm down. The skin looks cleared up. I've been given a negative test. I'm going back to the Russ Wilson experience. Over 275.5 passing yards for my first one. For my second one, I'm heading over to a little stack. Give me DK Metcalf to go over his total. I think he shows up big in this game. Really like the DK Metcalf angle. Last angle, I'm gonna fade Darrell Henderson. No touchdown. This is all types of touchdowns. Darrell Henderson did not score a touchdown. Third leg, so under a half touchdowns. And then we're gonna, click that power play. Don't forget to click that power play, because by default they put you in the flex play.
Flex play 20 turns into 45. You got to go 2 and 1. All right, here's who I got. I got Tyler Lockett over 66.5. It seems like the Rams, when they've let up passing stuff, it's been to the other guys. And I do think they're going to put Ramsey on Metcalf. I think that's part of their strategy. I'm going DK Metcalf under 72.5. I think Ramsey wants a little revenge, because even though they won the game with Goff, I think, Metcalf had some nice plays on him in the wild card matchup. So I'm going under DK Metcalf there at 72.5. Also like Russell Wilson under 24.5 pass completions. He hasn't had more than 23 all year. I think Pete Carroll could get a little conservative and work Carson, keep the ball out of the Rams' hands. That seems like how Pete Carroll would draw things up. And on prize picks, you can't do all three on the same team. So if you need a Ram, the one I do like is Woods over 58.5. It seems like he's kind of coming out of the woodwork there a little bit. And again, the Seattle pass defense has some holes, especially covering the second or third option. What do you got for the folks?
I'm co-signing that Robert Woods over 58.5. He's only done that once this year against Indy, but at the same time, the Rams haven't really had to go to him. This feels like a week against the Seattle defense that's given up 300 yards in their or more passing in their last 3 games. The only team on the season to not throw for 300 yards against them was the Indianapolis Colts and Carson Wentz, and that brings us all great joy. Additionally, Matthew Stafford over 299.5. He's going to put up 3 bills on this Seattle defense. He's out for revenge. The Cardinals made him look silly. The Rams are looking to show that they belong. They're looking to take this division by force. And then Chris Carson over a half rushing touchdown. He has 3 on the season. This Rams defense has actually given up rushing touchdowns in 3 other 4 games so far. When the Seahawks get down in there, they're going to give it to Chris Carson and let him get the touchdown.
Yeah, no, I mean, the idea, like, how does Stafford not just ball out on these guys?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like a wake up game. They kind of slept through that Cardinals game. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for me to figure out a way to pick the Seahawks. I'll tell you that, but I'm going to find a way.
I think from a fantasy perspective, I could see a version of this game where the Seahawks are chasing the entire time and having to sling it around.
Yeah.
And honestly, I kind of like the matchup for Metcalf versus Ramsey, because I think it allows in theory Metcalf can take Ramsey to a place that most guys can't take him to. And we'll see how that goes.
I just think they're not going to pass a ton. It's going to be a lot of Carson, and I think Lockett is the guy that goes off there. So,
well, and also Ramsey's been traveling with guys less. They've made an emphasis that he's moved into more of this like star role. They were calling it, letting play down more in run support and less on the outside shadowing guys. So just keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. All right. That'll do it for the show. Big thanks to Adam Pelletier. Make sure you give him a follow on Twitter at Adam Pelletier. Make sure you check out sportsgamblingpodcast.com for all your fantasy football rankings, picks. We got injury report stuff. Obviously, we got NBA, NHL, MLB all coming as well. Plenty of content, podcasts. It's all going down. And make sure you subscribe to the Sports Gambling Podcast. Leave us a nice rating and review on Apple Podcasts for your chance to win some sweet gear every Monday, aka Merch Monday.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, stacking the money green, and he is Ryan.
Sean, do you want a sweet first touchdown winner for Thursday night?
Yes.
Russ Wilson 22-1, Matt Stafford 40-1. Tyler Higbee 16-1, Will Dissly 28-1.
Kramer, let it ride. Awesome, Adam. Good